All right, here we go. So for this tutorial, we are going to run through making a finger joint box in Rhino. For an example of a finger joint box, we can look at something like this. So this finger joint box has these little fingers that extrude out here, and these other ones from this other piece that come to meet it. So we are going to go through modeling a finger joint box for an 1/8 inch of material. You can do this for other material sizes. You just have to make sure that when you model it in 3 dimensions, that you include the thickness of material. So for this tutorial, we're going to go through an 1/8 inch or 0.125 inches. So let's go back to Rhino. Okay, up here in layers, I'm just in the default layer. Doesn't really matter. You can be in a different layer. I'm going to hide things in other layers as I go through the tutorial, but you'll see that as we go. So my first move is I'm going to grab a rectangle. Corner to corner is just fine. I'm going to make sure grid snap is set to on so I can snap to the origin. And then now I'm in a spot where my box is just laying completely flat. So I don't really want that. I want it to actually be standing up. So I'm going to make one side of it 4 inches. And now it wants the width, which I'm also going to make 4 inches. Boom. So I have a little square here. What I'm going to do now is extrude this curve. So I'm going to type in XT, extrude curve pops right up. I'm going to set the extrusion distance to 0.125. And that is going to model a little 1/8 inch square. So from there, I'm going to select the extrusion so that we're not distracted by the curve. I'm actually going to select the curve, come to properties, throw it in another layer, go to layers and hide that. So now all I can really click on is my extruded box. So from here, I'm just going to hit Control C, Control V, and move this out a certain distance. Now, doesn't really matter where you put it, because we're going to actually snap the other pieces to it. So I'm just going to move it out here for the time being. Control C, Control V, and move this one out here. Make sure that you have gumball turned on. That's how I'm moving these things. So if I turn gumball off, I don't have those handles to move it, but if I do, then I can move it around. So another important thing down here on your snap menu or your movement menu is to have ortho selected and checked on. So with ortho on, I can make moves like snap this to 90 degrees perfectly. You can set your degrees under ortho. So right now it's set to 90. That's the default in Rhino. I'm just going to leave it like that because that works really well for me. I want it to turn 90 degrees perfectly. And it's going to work for us later. So I move this around a bit. Now I'm not perfectly lined up. What I want is for this inside edge to meet the inside edge of this box. So I'm going to take this corner. I'm going to make sure under my O-snap menu, first of all, that it's turned on. And second of all, that end and point are selected. I also have near selected, but end and point are the most useful ones right now. So I'm going to grab this very top corner and I'm going to snap it to this other corner of this box. So now my inside edges are lined up. Oops, I moved it a little. Control Z to put it back. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to come in here, grab this corner, move it out to this one. So there's only one more to do to make the 4 sides at least. So I'm just going to go Control C, Control V to grab that one, use my gumball to move it over, and I'm going to snap this corner to that corner And we should be all lined up. Cool. So we have our 4 sides. We need a bottom. So I'm going to come back here to my rectangle tool over in my menu. Click it. And then snap to that endpoint and rotate around a bit to snap to that one. And then I'm going to select curve. Rhino always wants to know if we want to select the right thing. So if I wanted the extrusion here, I could select that, but I want this curve on the bottom. Now I'm going to extrude that downwards. So extrude curve. Now, if I were to just accept this as is, it would go in the positive direction. So it would go up. I want to extrude it downwards. So I'm going to hit -0.125 and I get something that's extruded downwards. So I have all of my sides lined up. We have these open edges. That's exactly what I want. So up here, I'm going to rotate around a bit, use my zoom tool to get in there. And then I'm going to select my rectangle tool again. Actually, no, I'm going to type in box. We want to use the box tool right now. So I'm going to go box, and I am going to go from this endpoint to this endpoint to just match those up. And then I want to go down again, so I need to type in negative. So -0.125. Oops, sorry, not 0.125, 0.5. And there we go. We have this little rectangular solid made right there. So I want to continue these going down this side. So to do that, I'm going to grab this, Control C, Control V to copy it. And with grid snap on, it's going to snap right into place. It takes 1, 2 snaps. Control C, Control V again. 1, 2 snaps. And I'm right there. 1, 2 snaps. So to speed this up just slightly, now that I have 4 made, I know that each one is 0.5, and I know that my whole side here is 4 inches tall. So I'm going to grab 4 of them, Control C, Control V, and move them down. I now have 8 equally spaced pieces. So what I can do here, I have a couple options of how I want to do this. I'm going to keep grabbing those rectangular extrusions. I might have to go through the menu to grab them. There we go. Okay, so in right view, I'm going to use the mirror command. So mirror. Start of my mirror plane is going to be in the middle of the box. Oops, that's not the middle. So I need to escape that command and try mirror again. Might help me to get the center point here of my rectangle. There we go. So I have 2 sides with these finger joints laid out on them. So I see that these ones landed just inside, just a little bit. So this is a good little trick if you need it. We're going to grab the inside corner and drag it out and snap it right into place. So to make the other ones, I'm just going to come out here, hold down Shift on my keyboard, grab all of these, Control C, Control V, and move them out here. So just like before, they're not quite in the right spot. So what I am going to do is grab the inside corner and line it up with that one. That wasn't quite it. There we go. With all of those selected, I'm going to Control C, Control V again to copy them. And come on in here. Grab that top corner and snap it into place. There we go. Okay, so we have the outside walls all finger jointed. I'm going to show you how to join them so we get a nice finger joint when we cut it. But the next thing that we have to do is make finger joints for the bottom. So I'm going to just take one of these, Control C, Control V again to copy it. I'm going to drag it down a little, rotate it sideways, maybe drag it in here a bit. And I need to orient myself a little. And now I want this very outside top corner to line up with that so that we have something that looks like that, running right along that bottom edge. So again, I am going to Control C, Control V to paste or copy paste. And I'm going to do that a few times. And boom, lines up perfectly with that other edge. You might have to do a bit of zooming with the scroll wheel to orient yourself perfectly here. Okay, so looking good there. So I'm going to Control C, Control V that again to copy paste it. Come out here. And I want to use this blue handle to rotate it. And then I'm going to line this top edge up, or this topmost corner, with that corner there. Okay, so we've made the turn. We have all these finger joints on the bottom, and then that one there as well. So what I have to do now is keep copying and pasting these into the right location. I'm just doing a bit of zooming in and out to get my orientation right. Okay, so copy paste, move it down 2 snaps. That's the nice thing about using even numbers, is that when you snap into place, you're moving along the grid lines. So that's why I used 4 inches when I made my original box. Okay, cool. So here's the last thing, is that finally we're left with this outside space here that's empty. So I'm going to zoom out, orient myself a little bit by coming way out here and looking at the box in this direction. Control C, Control V. Oops, I don't want to rotate it. I want to move it with the green arrow out this direction. Okay, so when we get to this step, we have something that is too long. So I'm going to grab it or click on it to highlight it and type in scale 1D. Now, with endpoint selected, I'm going to click on the end of it right here, and then the end right there, and I'm just gonna move it on in to where it fits. Now, since I want most of my finger joints to be the same size, I'm gonna copy and paste this block right here, move it out there, just like I did. Rotate it with the blue handle. Depending on your orientation, your handle colors might be different. You just have to use some intuition there. And then now I'm going to align this inside corner with this one, which might take a little bit of moving around. I want to make sure I grab the corner. There we go. I've got the end snapped on now. So if it fights you like that and you have O-snap on, just make sure that you grab onto the end of it. And when you eventually do, it will say end because you grabbed onto the little end point of that line there. So that was a good demonstration. I don't always grab it right the first time. So now I'm going to copy paste, move it down, copy paste, move it down, and keep doing that. And throughout this process, you'll probably have to zoom and pan a bit, just to get your orientation right. Okay, so cool. That lined up perfectly with this outside edge here, which tells me that I'm probably gonna run into an excess over here when I finally finish it. So, gonna copy paste, move it. Then I'm going to move it in a bit. And here is where we need to snap again. So, you know, I could grab this inside edge right here and snap it there. I'm going to try to snap this outside corner to this bottom corner of the other one. So, look, it didn't tell me that I grabbed the end point. I need to go back and do that again. There we go. Got the end point. Now I can drag it where I want it. Perfect. Okay. Reorient myself a bit with, whoa, pan and zoom. Went a little far there. Okay. Now, copy paste. Move it down. Move it down again. And again until I reach the other side. Okay, so right here is where I said we would run into our issue, which means that this is too long. So we're going to use scale 1D again. And I'm going to go from my inside point there to the end of it, then just snap it right in there. Okay, so my box is pretty much complete. Sorry, my mouse is super sensitive, so when I zoom, it can be a lot. Okay, my box is pretty much complete. I have all the finger joints made in 3 dimensions. Now I just need to join them up to the walls. So, I'm going to grab this wall first, just click on it, and then I am going to hold Shift and then select alternating blocks. So I got these. Now I'm going to come down here, select this, 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 this. I want to make these edges match. So I'm going to come up here and not select this one, but this one, so that now you can see that they are symmetrical across there. Now I'm going to use Boolean union to join them up. Now, the nice thing about this is it actually marks what's been unioned with these extra lines. So we can come onto this face now and say, all right, I know exactly what to grab. I'm going to grab that, 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 and that. Make sure you're holding shift down as you're grabbing different things. I'm going to grab that, 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 and that. And then I'm going to make sure that my sides are symmetrical. Boolean union, enter, boom. Two of the 5 faces done. So now I'm going to come on to this last one, or not last one, but this next one. Grab that, hold shift down, and select my alternating pieces. And look at that, my sides are nice and symmetrical, especially on the edges. Type in Boolean union, join it together. Time for this one. Starts to get more visible as you go around because you've joined things together. You can see those extra lines. I need to select my bottom pieces now as well. Maybe I'll get that one, that one, that one, and that one. Union them. Okay. Now, time for the bottom. So really, once you get to the bottom, it's like whatever's left, right? So we got to come in here, grab bottom bits. Okay. Now I'm going to Boolean union those. Sweet. So we have, whoa, that was too far. We have our box made. We've got each wall and the bottom. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to draw a box around my box. Control C, Control V. Move it out here. And this just makes sure that I have 2 copies of it. That's the only reason I did that. So I'm going to leave this as the original. Maybe I want to go back, make modifications. Who knows? And then this is going to be my box that I'm going to make into 2D objects. So I'm going to go through the process now of laying my walls down flat. I'm kind of looking in the other viewports to see exactly what I'm doing. We don't really have to lay the bottom down flat because it's already flat. I'm just separating them out a little bit. Maybe I'll make room for that guy by moving my box over a bit. And I put them all on the, like if I look in this view, I put them all on the same plane. So look, I've got my bottom and my 4 sides all laid out like that. Now this is going to make it a bit easier if you lay them out like that to know what goes where. Because if you pull them out of the laser cutter, then you know exactly what needs to go where. So I'm going to highlight them all at the same time. Type in the command make 2D. Now make sure in this menu, perspective is not what you have on. We want to go to top view. We're going to go OK. It's going to make them 2D. We can move them wherever we want now. So, cool. I'm going to go into top view to do some just little fixes. So if I come over my 2D objects, I see that these all split apart really nicely. And this is common of the bottom one. You're going to have to do some light trimming. So I'm just going to use trim. And it says, what do you want to trim out? Well, I want this to trim that because I want everything nice and joined up. Oops. I'm going to have to trim again. So that should cut that little bit. And then see, we still have all these lines around the outside that we need to use or that we need to get rid of. So select the outside, hit enter, and trim all these guys out because we all know that the laser cutter will cut wherever lines are. So voila, all done. Cool. So we have our box laid out. If I were to collapse all these pieces together, just like we saw them in 3 dimensions, or like our box here that we just made, it's gonna work. We built it in 3D, so we know that the pieces do fit together. So now maybe I want to color map it for the laser. I'm gonna come in here, select all of these, go from here down to layer 3, which is blue. We want to cut all the way through. We usually set blue on the laser cutter to cutting all the way through. My display color needs to be by layer instead of black. Then I'm also going to set the print color to by layer. Now I've got these blue finger jointed walls. All you got to do from here is throw them on the laser. We'll talk about a few other requirements in class for this project, like putting etchings on each wall and whatnot. But for the time being, that is it.